People say, I don't need that much sleep. Oh, yes, we do. We do, because sleep is such a complex phenomenon. It's not just closing your eyes and counting sheep. Our brain uses that time to really look at everything that's happened during the day and process all that information.
Welcome to episode 79 of the LorainCounty.com Insights Podcast. I'm your host, Ed Skimmon. Let's start by thanking our LorainCounty.com champion sponsors, Lorain County JVS, WOBL Radio, Lorain County Commissioners, Emerge Inc., Community Foundation of Lorain County, and Lorain County Community College. Today, we're talking with Dr. Alexander Zali, Wellness Advisor at Lorain County Community College. Join us as Dr. Zali talks about his extensive career in cardiovascular and thoracic surgery, his role in guiding health science students, and his community outreach initiatives that promote health literacy. He also reflects on medical innovations, the importance of nutrition, sleep, and exercise, and how he balances professional responsibilities with his charitable work in Lorain County. I first connected with Dr. Zali through his wife Maria, who was part of my Leadership Lorain County class. Since then, I've come to admire the many ways in which he has made a difference, from saving lives in the operating room, advancing health education, and giving generously through his charitable work. Our community is fortunate to have leaders like Dr. Zali who devote their skill and energy to improving the lives of others. Here is my conversation with Dr. Alexander Zali.
I am Dr. Alexander Zali. I currently am the Wellness Advisor here at Lorain County Community College, and I've been here since 2022 upon my retirement.
Welcome, Dr. Zali. Thanks for joining us and sharing your insights.
I am honored to be here.
Could you tell us a little bit more about the work you do here?
What I do here started as a pilot program when Dr. Marcia Ballinger, who is the president of the college, had asked me to assist them with some of the foundational pieces in terms of the health sciences. And in essence, it was essentially to strengthen the clinical foundation beyond, let us say, the textbook, so that the students in various disciplines, such as nursing and surgical technology, EMT, ultrasonography, would have a better clinical insight into what they would be doing, because the textbook, as we know, only tells a part of the story. And it's the real life, day-to-day drama that they'll be seeing. And that's pretty much what we started with. And from that first part of my dual role, we then moved into the community outreach presentation part, in which I take immense pleasure in, as well as in the classroom, but being able to talk about topics of interest in health to all the general areas of the county. And it's driven by what the actual attendees would like to hear. And there have been dozens of presentations over the years.
I know you mentioned that you're holding these throughout the community. Can you talk about the different cities that you've held these in?
Sure. Of course, first here on the main campus, there's the Center for Lifelong Learning. And in the Wellington branch, the satellite of the college, we are there. We are also in the University Partnership Building satellite in North Ridgeville. We are in the North Ridgeville Senior Center. We are in Oberlin at Kendall. And we are also in Elyria. Soon to launch and expand into the libraries. We're going into the Avon Lake Public Library on the 15th of September, followed a week later into the Lorain Public Library, and followed shortly thereafter by the Elyria Public Library. So we are expanding our focus because our intention is really to impact the community. The college has been here for over 60 years. And of course, the cornerstone is education. And it was interesting when I found out that over half of the households in Lorain County have some attachment to the college, either with someone who's attended, has gotten a certificate or a degree. And this effort to the community essentially expands their personal enrichment and their lifelong learning, because we have people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. And it impacts a wide variety of topics. So it's wonderful to do it. I learned probably as much from them as they may learn from me, because I always answer questions that I never knew were coming.
Of the different programs you've put on, which ones have been most well received?
There have been so many there. In February, we started a couple of years ago with heart health, because February is Heart Health Month. That was a very well received presentation. We have the 3 pillars of health: nutrition, sleep, and exercise. That has been well received. Autoimmune disease, talking about that. Diabetes and its complications. Understanding back pain, understanding arthritis, chronic kidney disease, on how the mind and the body ages, dementia, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, All of these topics are pretty well received, and they're all current information, and I've gotten a lot of enjoyment. But as I said, there are so many different topics. Those are what I can give you off the top of my head.
In this work, what has surprised you about both the medical knowledge and the lack of knowledge that people in our community bring with them to the wellness programs you offer?
Health literacy in general is not proficient in America. And in Ohio and in Lorain County, there are probably 10 to 15% of individuals who are what we call, medically speaking, proficient. In other words, they're able to understand terminology and grasp the concepts of their care plan. The majority do not have that capacity because their level of education is either high grade level or maybe mid-high school level. And of course, they go out into their careers, et cetera. So in that regard, distilling the information into layman's language and avoiding jargon I find it very entertaining in my mind, and it's a challenge. But when I do it that way, they get a lot more out of it. So that has been the challenge, if
Sure.
you will, of putting the information such as autoimmune disease. What does that mean? So I start by saying, look, autoimmune disease, we all have a built-up immunity, and I talk about how we develop as children and into later ages, and then we talk about the concept of immunity, when the body works against itself. So we easily dip our toe in the water, so to speak, and then once that concept is grasped, then we can go more into the details and dive deeper.
Do you find the widespread access to online information has improved people's understanding of heart health and wellness? Or do misconceptions and gaps in knowledge remain a challenge to try to address through your talks and programs?
That's a two-edged sword. Yes, the internet is a wonderful tool. However, I always am challenged by questions that develop from what they've seen on the internet. And in practice for many years, I would always get the statement, they said, and I would say, where is the University of they? Because I'd like to attend a class there. So that being said, there are misconceptions from the internet because not everything that you see and hear and whatever on the internet is valid. And in particular, the internet information can be erroneous. And as a result, I basically say that you have to look with healthy skepticism about that. And we actually do a lecture on debunking the myths of cancer, because there are so many myths about how does one get cancer and what are the different types of cancer. And once you get it, the ball game over. So in that particular topic alone, there are so many myths born sometimes of what they've seen and heard on the internet or in discussion in casual conversation. So there's a mixture of fact and there's a mixture of fiction.
From your experience in community health and wellness, what simple pieces of advice do you give most often for people to care for their own health?
As we enter our golden years, myself, of course, being right in the middle of them, I try and stress the 3 pillars of health. And I try and make it a point of saying our nutrition is so important because here in America, we rely upon prepared foods, ultra-processed foods, where in Europe, for instance, it's fresh and they eat a healthy diet. They adhere to what we call the Mediterranean diet. But in America, not so much. So what I try and instill is that concept of nutrition. Then, ironically, people say, I don't need that much sleep. Oh, yes, we do. We do, because sleep is such a complex phenomenon. It's not just closing your eyes and counting sheep. Our brain uses that time to really look at everything that's happened during the day, unbeknownst to us, process all that information, and we need those 7 to 9 hours a night. And then the third part of what I try and tell people about their everyday type of approach to health is exercise. And I'm so impressed by all the joggers and the walkers I see. That's wonderful. God gave us the ability from first thing we ever wanted to do as babies is stand on our 2 feet and walk. That's a God-given talent. And as long as we can walk, that's the best cardiovascular exercise for anyone. If we can maintain a regimen of 30 to 60 minutes a day for 5 days a week, that's healthy. And that's not a lot to ask because it's 1 hour, perhaps out of 24, 5 days a week. So take the weekend off. But doing that and you're sticking to that routine pays so many medical beneficial dividends.
Let's switch over and talk a little bit about you. Can you provide an overview of your medical career?
My medical career began in New Jersey when I graduated from medical school, and I was fortunate. God gave me the talents and the abilities to work for 47 years in cardiovascular and thoracic surgery, and the last 36 of them were here in Lorain County in 1986 to 2022. II. So I was able to do heart surgery, lung surgery, all sorts of vascular surgery. And in my career, I was fortunate enough to bridge the area of what we call the golden age, when everything was open procedures and it was major surgery. For instance, aneurysm repair. Patient was in the hospital for a week to 10 days. They didn't eat for 3 days. Now we repair aneurysms. And at the end of my career, I didn't do anything but what we call endovascular repair, where we don't even make a cut. The patient eats the same day and goes home the next day. That has enabled me to reach far into the octogenarian and nonagenarian groups. And I think that capsulizes my career, but it's been a tremendous, long, almost 5-decade career of heart surgery, vascular surgery, lung surgery, and even a microscopic type of minimally invasive surgery. So it's been wonderful.
So what initially inspired you to pursue a career in cardiothoracic and vascular surgery, and what kept you passionate about it through the years?
As a medical student, I was doing my, what we called them at the time, externships. And I was able to get into the operating room of, I call him my first surgical father in New Jersey. He was able to do heart surgery, and my jaw must have hit the floor. I was just totally amazed. He stopped the heart, fixed it, started it. And I thought it was so majestic to be able to do that, be able to have God-given intelligence and ability to silence the heart, repair it, and then start it again. And by doing that, giving that individual and that family another lease on life, so to speak. So that was my impetus and was always my driving force. It certainly maintained my interest all those years. And then, of course, the other elements of the specialty, the vascular surgery, with performing carotid endarterectomies, saving people from strokes, aneurysm repairs, saving people from ruptured aneurysm, which is death within minutes, and lung surgery for cancer. Obviously, with that, we now have a nice long track record of how we've improved longevity and quality of life with a combination of maybe not just surgery, but also a radiotherapy and oncological approach. So those are the facets of my career that have really been dear to my heart, no pun intended, and have maintained my absolute interest and desire.
I read that you introduced multiple surgical innovations. Could you talk about one or two of these innovations and how they impacted patient care or outcomes?
I started with what we call thoracoscopic surgery, which was actually doing surgery inside the chest without making a big incision. And I brought that to the area, I think, in 1992. I also then instilled the endovascular aneurysm repair in Lorain at Mercy Hospital. And then carotid endarterectomies, we switched into carotid artery stenting. And all of those, I would say I pioneered into Lorain County, and now they're being done by a number of other people, including non-surgeons. So it's been an evolving scientific expansion, if you will.
In your long career, talk about two or three of the biggest changes in healthcare that you saw over that time.
Number one, I would say that there is a definite dynamic shift in how we approach what we do. Gone are the days of Marcus Welby. In fact, one of the discussions I have with audiences is, how do you maximize the benefit of your office visit? Because we have such precious few moments of time with our providers that sometimes you walk out of the office and you forget what you wanted to ask. So that has been a big change, because now most physicians are employed by either a hospital system or a large group, and they have certain numbers of patients they have to see every day, and spending a lot of time with an individual patient or family is not germane to their workload. So that's definitely something different. And then also the most advanced technology is the minimally invasive approach to every different type of specialty, whether it's lung, whether it's vascular, whether it's orthopedic, neurologic, etc. We all have different ways of doing things, with even robotic surgery now. So those are really advances which are still in its infancy, but will come down. And the last one I can mention is, I'm grudgingly accepting this, but it's AI. Right now, AI is not center stage in medicine because it's being used for medical records and some coding and some diagnostic challenges, but I envision that coming more to the forefront, but it will never take the place of the human brain.
If a student came to you and said they wanted to go into the healthcare field, what qualities do you think are the most important for them to have?
Their interest should be born of desire to help others. If it's founded in lifestyle and wealth, pick something else. It's not what you're going to get. But truly, if you want to be a helper of mankind, you're on the right footing. And if you have that mindset, other things will fall into place.
I know that community service has been a big part of your life and career. Can you talk about you and your wife's over 35 years of involvement with the American Cancer Society's Lifesavers Ball fundraiser?
Oh, I can talk about that for a long time, but I'll give you a capsule comment. Maria and I are working with the Cancer Society, and that is truly a labor of love. The Cancer Society here in Lorain County, we're actually celebrating on our next event, which is March of 2026, the 40th annual Lifesavers Ball. Now, Ed, I can tell you that here in Lorain County, that is the longest running event of its kind by the American Cancer Society in the United States. And Maria and I were fortunate enough to chair that for 25 consecutive years. Last year, we had an historic evening in which we grossed over $205,000. The majority of that money stays in Lorain County for residents here, in various aspects of their care. So we've made so many different friends over the years. We met so many wonderful people, highlighted by what we call the Living Angel every year. But we celebrate someone in the community who nobody even hears about, but has been impacted by cancer in some way, either as a patient or a caregiver, etc. And we celebrate that individual that night. And hopefully this year, when we return for number 40, we're going to accumulate a little area of all our angels from years past who are still with us, and we can all celebrate together.
What has it meant to do this with your wife?
It means everything, because we just celebrated our 52nd wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And Maria has always been the behind the woman strength in my career and in everything we've done. She actually was involved with the Lorain County Medical Cancer Society for about 2 years. And then she was given the chairperson position. And she said, I want Alex to help me. And she wanted me to help her to draw in Elyria Memorial and Lorain Community Hospital, et cetera, which we did over the years. But it's meant a lot to do it with her, because we rally around that together. Our children, as they grew up, always called our home the Nerve Center for the last 3 months of preparation. And it's been a wonderful ride as the 52 years with her.
What are some of the biggest surprises from doing the fundraiser?
We had someone named Archie Griffin come and be our featured guest one year, and he impressed me because, as celebrated as he is, he wanted to meet the best high school football players in the county. So we assembled them. But he emphasized not the best scorers or the best personalities in the newspaper. I want the best individuals on each team, the best character. And so it was wonderful to watch Archie interact with these high school students. So that was a nice surprise. And then how the event itself has grown, how the community has accepted that. Many people call it the best event of the year, and many people are perennials. They've been coming for 30 years or more. So those, I think, are the surprises. But the real bottom line is what we're able to do for people who we don't even know. And I think that's what the touch point is for that.
So you managed to balance a demanding medical career and extensive charitable work. How did you juggle these responsibilities, and what advice would you give other professionals who want to engage in the community service while pursuing their career?
It can be done. And now budgeting your time, if you can do that, you would have time for everything. But today, with the way people are torn between what's going on in the community, what's going on at home, and what do I really want to do, I even made time for myself to golf. So if you budget your time well, and if you're focused on priorities, if you have family first, your career second, and then community work as a near second to that, you can do it all. It's not impossible.
And still get your full sleep.
And get my 7 hours a night.
You've earned many accolades. For example, Mercy Hospital honored you with the Spirit of Leadership Award in 2011. The American Cancer Society recognized you as a Lifetime Achievement Award. When you reflect on your career and community work, what accomplishments are you most proud of?
I would have to say being able to use my abilities to help people. The awards, Maria and I didn't do those things, and I didn't certainly do those things in medicine for awards, but being, I guess, in the right place at the right time and using what God gave you as talent and intellect says it all.
What would you still like to accomplish?
I would like to see my grandchildren become adults and see that part of their life unfold.
Who has guided or inspired you the most in the work you've done? Any mentors or colleagues or personal heroes that have had a significant influence?
It might sound ordinary to say this, but my father was my first and strongest influence because he went right out of high school. He went to the military. He was in the Navy. He was a Seabee in the Second World War. When he came home, he had a scholarship for journalism at Cornell, and he tried to go to school, but it didn't work out because some of the professors were not exactly telling accurate history of the war. So he did not finish. And he said that it was his only regret in life. He said, my children are going to college. So he made sure, and I'm the oldest in the family, he made sure I did. And he always told me, do the best you can. You can look yourself in the mirror at the end of the day and say, you did that. You've done God's work. So he was my first and still is my motivation. And then I had two surgical fathers, Dr. Joseph Timmies, who was that heart surgeon I referred to, and Dr. Michael Raimondo, both of whom were in New Jersey. They were second fathers to me, and the things they did and the way they approached things. For instance, Dr. Timmies said, a good surgeon isn't the best technician. A good surgeon is someone who knows what trouble is and can avoid it. That speaks volumes. So I would say those are the three.
Outside of work and your charity activities, what are your hobbies and interests, and how do they help recharge you?
My hobbies are still playing golf, and I do that with my grandson and a couple of close friends. My grandson now, of course, can drive the ball 300 yards, which I cannot do anymore. I like reading. I like baseball and watching my favorite team. I'll say the New York Yankees. Some people may not like that. I like stamp collecting. And I used stamps even for the Philatelic History of Medicine as one of my presentations, and collecting in general. So those are the things that help me with my time. And of course, I try and not get in Maria's way at home.
Finally, where can people get more information on your health series and connect with you?
Here at the college, we have the Center for Lifelong Learning. In Wellington, the same thing. At the University Partnership, a building in North Ridgeville. And then, of course, at the libraries, we'll have their own marketing. They have their own newsletters, et cetera. So just calling those entities and asking for those particular items will be a way of registering. And everything that we do here is free. All those presentations are free to the public because the Lorain Community College wants the public to be informed. That's the cornerstone, community outreach.
Thank you, Dr. Zali, for joining us and sharing your insights.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the LorainCounty.com Insights Podcast. Each episode, we share conversations with the people shaping life in Lorain County, from business and government to education, nonprofits, healthcare, and entertainment. Be sure to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. You can also visit LorainCounty.com to discover local events, volunteer opportunities, and more community resources. If you know someone who's making a difference in Lorain County, send us a note at podcast@loraincounty.com. We would love to share their story and insights. Special thanks to our producer, Leah Gerke, and to you for listening. This has been the LorainCounty.com Insights Podcast, conversations with the people shaping Lorain County.